I now call to order the February 20th, 2017 meeting of the New Caney Independent School District Board of Trustees at 6:32 p.m. Let the minutes show that a quorum is present with members in attendance excluding Mr. Mixon, Mr. Trout, and Mr. Monroe. Please rise for the invocation to be given by Mr. Turner and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and honor of the Texas flag to be led by Ms. Turner.
Please bow. Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this day you've given us. We do thank you for this wonderful district that we have for us. Thank you for our employees, our administration, and our students. We ask you that we make decisions tonight that will glorify you, and at the end of the day, our students be better for it. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
It's hard not to look down there. It's just natural.
Item 2 on the agenda is recognitions. Mr. Everett Simons will present the White Oak Middle School Awards.
I like it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the school board. Thank you for having us. The first person I would like to recognize is Jose Lopez. Jose, can come on up, please. Jose is a student of high integrity and makes contributions to both his team and school. He respects others' differences and encourages his peers, both in athletics and in the classroom. Jose has a rare blend of determination, incredible self-discipline, and great learning skills. The next person I'd like to recognize is another student athlete. Anne-Marie Groh is a young lady of character, intelligence, and talent. She is one of the hardest working athletes who never takes a day off and always leads by example. She always displays a great attitude, both on and off the court, that is both polite and humble. For my Kate student, Matthew Hamilton, it's actually his first year at White Oak Middle School. And since the first day he's been on my campus, he's been a fantastic student. He's a great student to have in class. He presents excellent work while participating in every activity. He is friendly and respectful to both teachers and classmates alike. If you ever need something done, you can always count on Matthew to volunteer, and he'll do a good job. My fine arts student is Larissa Alquicira. She's punctual, has a great attitude, and is always ready to work with a smile on her face. Not only does she focus on her work, but she also is the first to help others when needed in her ceramics class. She recently received the first place blue ribbon for her entry into the 2017 Rodeo Art Competition. Her teacher, Mr. Roach, said students like Larissa are the reason he enjoys coming to work every day. For my child nutrition employee of the month, it's Brandy Minshew. She's the daughter of Danny, our electrician. She's an excellent worker and is Miss Dean's lead person. She helps wherever needed in the kitchen and can do each of the positions in the cafeteria. When the cafeteria manager is out, she can be counted on to ensure everything is done correctly. She is fantastic with the students and the staff and is always willing to help. She gave me the evil eye too when I told her I wanted to. We made her. My teacher is Liren Giat. This, unfortunately, will be her last year at White Oak Middle School. She's going to be the media specialist over at Dogwood Elementary, and Carrie Hamilton could not have found a better person. She's one of our mentor teachers, and she shares her knowledge and experience with the classroom teachers, helping them incorporate more technology into their lessons. Her students absolutely love to be in her class. She will be leaving the shoes to fill and will greatly be missed at White Oak. 2 transportation employees of the month. We have Ingrid Schultz-Briggs and Mary Villanueva. They both drive one of our special needs buses, and I'll go on and on if I don't have this. These 2 wonderful people drive one of our special needs buses. They always have a smile on their faces and have the student's best interest and safety at heart. They both demonstrate the true virtue of patience and perform their job to the best of their ability, as only truly special people can do. And our last, he also couldn't make it tonight, Jesse Flores. He's our custodial employee of the month. And he is one of the most helpful custodians I've ever worked with in my 16 years of being in Caney ISD. If he sees me moving the table or carrying a box, he stops what he's doing and always helps out. I can always count on him to get the building set up for any activity, meeting, or event. He is a vital asset to my campus in the Caney ISD.
Wait.
No.
All right.
Next, Ms. Bridget Heine will present the Woodridge Forest Middle School Awards.
Thank you and good evening. The first 2 students that I would like to recognize are our Woodridge Forest Students of the Month. Each month, our staff nominates 2 students to be recognized not only on their academic abilities, but also their service, their character, and in addition, their leadership to not only the school but the local community. And so it just so happens that both of these students are also involved in various activities at Woodridge Forest, in addition to things like Fellowship of Christian Athletes and several sports. So the first person I'd like to recognize is Emily November. And Caleb Evans-Higgins. All right. Our Fine Arts Student of the Month is a 6th grade student who had a piece that was selected for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. So her piece went from our district and is representing for the Best of Show. It is currently on display at the Hayloft Gallery, and so we expect a lot of great things from her, and we would like to recognize Savannah Roden. Now, this is a gentleman that you may see out at the fair or in any of the judging or livestock contests that you see. This is the gentleman that you will see kind of out and about. He definitely demonstrates leadership, and we expect great things from him as he moves on to Porter High School next year. Bailey Drumgold is our Kate student. All right. Adriana Palma is our custodian employee of the month. And Miss Palma is, no matter what the situation is, like many of our employees, dependable. She is always willing to do whatever you ask her with a smile on her face. And the best thing about, and I'm so excited to recognize Adriana tonight, is Adriana also has children in our district, and they are somebody that we can be proud of, and I know that that is always, not only is she a great employee, but a great mom and a great parent. We're so glad to have you, Mom. Thank you. All right, our Our child nutrition employee is Miss Karen Torres. And Miss Torres, you can see her. I just saw that smile light up. It comes across whether each morning as she's serving our kids breakfast or serving them lunch, and whether that's just a kind word or even I know Miss Torres, but other employees do the same thing. It could be just a quick note that they've got a little extra time to leave on the kids' trays, and so they go above and beyond to make our kids great, days great. Thank you so much. All right, and our transportation employee is Jarvis Jones. Mr. Jones? I hear Jarvis is moving on up. I just heard this news. He is going to be taking on a new route, which I wish him the best. But of course, we are going to miss him at Woodbridge. This bus is definitely an extension of the classroom. The kids know the expectations, and he makes that clear. And it is always a safe, a secure, and a productive environment on his bus, and we appreciate that. And our teacher is Kathy Pickett. Ms. Pickett, come on up. Ms. Pickett teaches 8th grade math. She was also our Teacher of the Year, and it is definitely an honor to always be nominated by your peers and those the staff that you work with each day. They recognize her contributions to the kids. And she is definitely an asset to our campus, and whether that is not just what she's teaching each day, but it's how she carries herself, her contributions to the team, and the impact that she then has on kids just carries on. So thank you so much.
Oh, let me go this way. More pictures. Oh, I have to take my glasses off. Here. Which picture mine?
Wonderful job. So now I have recognitions by Mr. Brian Applegate and Mr. Pearson to present the ABCD Awards.
Good evening. Mr. Pearson and myself are both humbled and honored to present to you two gentlemen who I'm sure that you'll be enjoying sharing in pride what they have done here at Caney ISD. We'll go ahead and invite those two gentlemen up here at this time, Marquise Thomas and Cameron White. You'll come up to the front, please. And if we could also have their families come up as well, too. Right here to the side, Marquise's family and Cameron's family. Mr. Pearson will share with you more about what we're honoring them for today.
Well, I know this is one of those things that was all over social media, it was all over the news as well. You all know how much it's been raining recently, but last Thursday evening, Marquise and Cameron were near Peach Creek in Roman Forest when they saw a little 4-year-old girl who was playing next to the creek, fell into the water. They immediately ran over, grabbed her, snatched her out, ran and found the nearest adult. They called 911. They took her into Kingwood Hospital, checked her out. The girl was just fine. And I think that if the girl was returned to her parents without injury, and I think y'all saved her life. So.
Like to add that we appreciate Cameron and Marquise for what you've done. You exemplify what it means to be a hero. Thank you for all that you've done. And with that, without any further ado, Mr. Pearson and I are going to present to you the ABCD Award for your outstanding humanitarian service. Thank you.
That's good stuff right there. Item 3 on the agenda is open forum. The board will now hear comments from those persons who have signed up to speak. Anybody signed up to speak? No? Okay. Item 4 on the agenda is closed meeting. The board will now meet in closed meeting under the authority of Texas Government Code Section 551.074 for the purpose of personnel matters, Government Code 551.071 for attorney consultation, and Government Code 551.072 for deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Any action as a result of the closed session discussion will take place after the board reconvenes in open meeting. The time is 6:49. The board ended its closed meeting at 7:53 and will now reconvene in open session. Item 5 on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Start with the committee report.
Yes, sir. We were asked to create a new committee called the Construction and Facilities Plan Committee. Operates pretty much just like Finance Committee. Actually took those operating procedures, inserted construction and facilities planning. Again, the purpose of the committee is just an advisory capacity to you all. The plan is to meet at least quarterly, unless needed more often. Probably going to start those quarterly meetings in March or April. Just the things that we're going to talk about in those meetings: planning for future bond programs, current bond program construction progress, current bond program potential concerns and other issues impacting the overall timeline, bond estimates of the current program, and any other items that y'all look us to look into in the construction and bond planning. So just wanted to show y'all those tonight, and we'll be scheduling those meetings quick.
Okay, on the Finance Committee, it's also an advisory capacity and will meet quarterly unless necessary to meet more regular than that. The issues that we'll discuss in there is legislative impacting public school finance, impact of the state finance system on New Caney ISD finances, efficiency efforts undertaken by the district and the impact of those efforts on district operations, equitable allocation of district resources, the budget development related matters such as but not limited to staffing ratios, revenue projections, compensation increases, and major purchases, and any other matters that the board requests us to go over.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Neal, District of Innovation.
Okay, I want to talk to you now a little bit about the District of Innovation and what the instruction department, and actually we combined our efforts. HR department has actually talked about, Scott and I have had discussions, and we've discussed it at length in cabinet, but I want to give you a report, and hopefully you've gotten that in your packet, to just go over these things briefly, and if you have any questions, we can talk about it. Okay, House Bill 1842 basically provided public schools with the opportunity to become a district of innovation. To qualify, districts have to meet standard, which we do, and you have to present a 5-year innovation plan, okay? And basically, what this is all about, it gives districts the opportunity to seek asylum from some constraints or laws that are put into place, so we can better operate. So what we did is we looked through many plans throughout the state. We grabbed all the way from Spring Branch, Conroe, and we took those apart to see, what are some of the things that our surrounding area is doing, and is there something that it could benefit us from, and then look at the cons that go along with that. So the first one we looked at was education certification. The District of Innovation would allow us to employ some some people, some educators or individuals who are not certified in the areas of need. They're hard to get, such as arcade courses, for example, computer programming. It's very difficult to find someone that can teach that because they don't want to go back and get their certification. They've had a lot of school. So this will allow us to get people to help with that. Our bilingual teachers, it will help with that. And getting our dual credit teachers too. Our pros in that, this will help us. This will help us expand our CAPE programs and to hopefully help with that, the dual language issue, the bilingual issue. One of the cons that we'll definitely have to work hard on is that we don't want our teachers to think that we're replacing them with unqualified people. And we don't want our community to think that we're putting teachers in the classroom that aren't qualified to do that. That you have to watch that, okay? So those are the cons there. The next one is operation of school and school attendance. This allows us to adjust the calendar. You know, that tourism law, it's out there, you know, we're having to deal with it this year. It will allow us to be flexible with that. I'm a little worried if we go after this time, we're probably halfway in, or maybe 3/4 in, to already planning and scheduling our year for next year. Once you adopt a calendar, as we did in December, it gives everyone the go-ahead to go ahead and start doing all the scheduling. So I would be a little concerned if we decided we wanted to shift with that one this year. The next one is submitting waivers for kindergarten class sizes. This will allow us to not have to get waivers from the state. I have to do it every year. We have to submit it and get approved. We know that small class sizes make a difference, and it will help us with not having to do the waivers, but it'll also, we want to be very, I say proactive in informing our district, our community, that we are not going to cram our classes full. We still hold true to that 22-to-1 ratio, and the lower the better. But we also know that we're a fast-growing district, and we never know if it's going to be 800 kids walking through or 1,100 kids. And so we have to make sure that we understand that, our community understands that.
From an instructional standpoint, does it give you a lot of flexibility? I mean, is it a big flexibility issue to not have to go get those waivers? Or
it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
Whether we do it or not, I mean, it's a document that has to be submitted. So. The next one is adjusting instructional minutes in school.
Can I say one other thing about
Sure.
the waivers? We aren't penalized for getting waivers.
No.
There's no negative consequences for asking for waivers from the state. It's just a formality.
Yeah, we've never been denied. No, you have to do it. No.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But we have to do a plan too of what we're doing to try to fix that.
Okay.
Instructional minutes in school day. Right now, we have to have the length of instructional day is 420 minutes. 7 hours each day, including intermission and recesses. Flexibility in this particular one, I really believe will help us. Places such as Credit Recovery and our Freedom Place, our facility that's out, that we work with, y'all remember what I'm talking about? Freedom Place. Those girls are under therapy. It's hard to get that amount of time with those kiddos. And so seat time, adjusting seat time for kids in that particular situation would be really helpful. We could do some night classes, credit recovery, some other things to do for our kids in that instance. The only negative part I see about that, oh wait, let me back up. We could also adjust our early release times too. We could do some PLC time, which the kids could get out an hour early, and then our teachers could spend some time learning, which helps. But that also be counterproductive with our transportation and childcare with our little ones. So I think it would help us, majority of us, with our credit recovery programs. Okay, teacher appraisal system. Next year, the law says that we have to attach student achievement to teacher evaluations. So we have to have some sense of what's happening in the classroom performance-wise. So what that means is that we would evaluate our teachers based upon how the kids do on STAR. Now, there's some bills out there that are trying to kill that, but we don't think that's best practice. This will help us. You know, we use a different rubric than the state does, and we want to stick with it. It's working. And so the last thing we want to do is go to another evaluation system. So this would help us. Right, in the behavior management part, right now we have to appoint a campus behavior coordinator for every campus. Well, what that entails right now is that our AP, one of our APs is doing it. We wouldn't have to do this. We could take that away, and paperwork, all that goes along with that. We can just keep doing what we want to do, and that's just helping our students behave, and just having to have one coordinator. So those are the things that we felt like could help us.
Can you give us a brief version of what that behavior coordinator does?
Campus behavior coordinator is someone that the state says you have to designate. It can be the principal, or they can designate it. We've gone and designated it through APs on the campus. All of our assistant principals are considered that. What it says is that if a student gets into trouble, you have to notify the parents by the end of that school day, actually by the end of the school day the next day, and if not, you have to send them something in writing by 5 o'clock. Just for something like that, if the kid goes to out-of-school suspension or in-school suspension, there has to be notification made to them. Our APs were already doing all these things anyway. It's just something the state said and put a title on something that really didn't mean anything because we were already doing it. So it's a notification is really what it comes down to, and we're taking care of that.
It's kind of like the class size waivers. And you know, if you look at Spring Branch, you're going to Spring Branches, they're going. The pendulum has gone way over here. They're trying to just say we're not going to do anything you say. I don't know if we're at that place because we follow the laws and we do a pretty good job of it, and we're pretty happy with it. Because the last thing I want to do is take the protections that we have away. We don't want to do that.
Are there protections that are put at risk as part of the district?
Well, if you say, I don't want any part of your laws, then those laws protect us too.
Which means if we set our own 5-year plan, set our own goals, and we don't achieve them, they now hold us accountable for not achieving their own goals. So.
And that's why, the next step would have to be, you have to give us the permission to get a committee together, and we take it very seriously. It's not just a...
That's the funniest thing we get to watch. Very professional people waiting.
TEA reports that there are 100 districts right now that have already qualified.
Yes.
And that doesn't even include like Splendora that's just started the process,
Right.
and all the other districts just talking about it like we are.
Yeah.
Having looked at all the information, and I guess I'll direct it to Mr. Franklin. Do you have a recommendation, or do you want the board to perhaps? I think the next step would be we would pass a resolution.
What we thought is as we do usually, we give you guys a month to think about it,
Okay.
and basically bring you a resolution if that's the will of the board, at the next board meeting to basically form the
Form the
committee to get
committee.
started. So,
Do you see more positives than?
oh yeah, we saw a lot of positives from it. We want to make sure, and as a district, that we're doing the things we need to do for kids. And that's the main focus. So anything that we can do that we think is a benefit to our students, and of course, that's what we want to do first and foremost.
And this would be at earliest 18, 19.
Yes.
I agree, because I don't think.
18, 19 would give us a good smooth
18, 19
transition.
would be-
Plus, it would also give you plenty of time for the committee to come together and really do some insightful work on exactly what this district of innovation looks like.
And then
It
this
should look like
legislative
what.
session, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, and we're
It
also.
may go away.
The legislative session will determine a lot of what happens next, but it's a good starting point for you guys to think about it, and then for us, them as a board, at the next board meeting, we'll look at this and something.
Because even though there are things that you can do, like exceed the 22-to-1 ratio, that doesn't mean we would. And there are still safeguards in place to keep us in check.
And we do that now through waivers. The only thing is we don't say we have a waiver. If we do have, and it makes sense when you have a class 22-to-1 and you have to add 1 or 2 students to that 23 to 24 rather than breaking up a whole new class, relocating those children. It makes sense to have 1 or 2 more
And
students.
especially hearing about the struggle of finding teachers certified as bilingual instructors, I think. And I mean, who better to teach like an auto repair course in a CTE class than somebody who's an ASE certified mechanic? I think those kind of situations would make more sense than just finding.
Because
they don't want to go back to
What's funny, before these regulations came into place, we were already doing that. It's amazing how that works. With alternative certification at that point, years ago.
Thank you very much.
So, also part of this is due to the highly qualified act went away. That was a constraint on us for years that limited us on alternative certifications. And once highly qualified and we don't know what's fixing to happen for the federal government also, but that gave us a little more flexibility in what we can do and how we can do it. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Very much.
All right, Paul, energy management update.
This thing's gonna work. Okay, tonight I just have for you a standard energy management update. We hit another milestone recently, so I thought it'd be a good time to just kind of bring you guys up to speed on where we are. As far as the energy program, we signed a contract in 2010. The original goals were to, of course, maintain a comfortable work environment at all times when everybody's here conducting business and class and things like that. But to do it with energy conservation in mind, find more efficient ways to operate our facilities and serve our folks. And then, of course, manage the utility budget in a way that made sense to run the facilities more efficiently. At the time, a very large item on the budget, still remains a very large item on the budget, so having a significant impact can have a significant financial impact on the district's bottom line. The goal was to save 20% in the utilities by the end of the 4-year contract. And when I say save 20%, I'm talking about the utility usage. If we were to add it all up and reduce it by 20% by the end of our 4-year contract, that was kind of the goal in mind when that contract was signed. To throw a little bit of numbers at you, in the last 6 years, we've done over $13 million in utilities for just electricity alone. Okay, roughly runs at about 8 cents a kilowatt hour. And if we look at this last year, we spent $3.4 million in utilities to run all sites. So it's a significant budget item. The other thing I would point out with this is if you'll look at what the electricity's weight is compared to the other utilities, it's 78.4% of the cost. So when we're talking about where does our money go with utilities, it's electricity. To expand on that, the water, you lump water, sewer, and things like that, altogether, they're our second line item at 14.7%. It's a significant percentage, but when you take that and you add that with the 78%, water and electricity, it pretty much gets you all the way there. Natural gas, obviously, to heat our facilities, but it's also crucial in dehumidifying spaces and things like that. So that's another thing to keep in mind when we're talking about natural gas specifically. In 2010, the district signed the contract, 4-year contract with a company. At the time, it was called Synergistic. They rebranded themselves, they were called Energy Education. Now they're called Synergistic. They rebranded themselves here about a couple years ago. They basically presented us with some energy policy and guidelines and wanted us to really focus on the time when students aren't in the facility. That was the key thing with this particular group, was that we're not really trying to focus in on anything during the school day. We want to look at what happens when the buses roll out and the kids are going home, and how are the facilities being used and manipulated from a utility standpoint from that point forward, as well as early in the mornings too. And then beyond that time, just improving the general efficiency that the plants run, the systems that are running the building. Are they operating properly? Are they set the way that they were originally designed? Things of that nature. So between those two things, that's where the focus of the program basically lies. As far as the role for the energy manager, the contract was, hey, we need somebody internally to come in, and we're going to train this person that was of New Caney ISD. They're going to act as the liaison between the consultants and the district. We're going to throw at them all kinds of information and training, and they'll have to dictate to the district what we should and shouldn't implement, and things like that, based on the culture and the climate and just what they generally saw fit. So we have guidelines and things like that, but as far as doing everything to the degree that they talk about, it's kind of let's give and take. Let's make sure we're doing everything right by the folks and their expectations, as well as those in the building. So maintaining an eye on the budget and then collecting all the data as well. We're talking about entering in past utility data previous to the program, as well as maintaining a constant eye on a monthly basis on where we are, how much we're using, things like that. And then maintaining an open line of communication with the folks that are frankly on the front lines. Everybody behind me has to deal with the results every day, and I don't take that lightly. It's the students and the staff that are in these buildings. It's their place of work and sanctuary for a lot of folks. So when you start adjusting an environment, it's like somebody coming in and poking the thermostat at your house. You wouldn't want just anybody to do it, or not to take that with a serious note. So we try to make sure and keep that in mind the whole time. How do we calculate our savings? Basically, we took the baseline year consumption, which is how much energy we used the year before the energy program ever existed, and we times that by the current utility rate, and that gives us what a projected cost would be. That's basically saying if you used energy the way you did before, and you were using the current rate that you have now, and you had no changes, this is what you would expect your projected cost to be. When we subtract the actual cost of what we actually spent this year, you get what's called cost avoidance. In this case, it's costs that we avoided as a result of having an energy program in place. So when I report savings, it's more of a cost avoidance model. We didn't have this expense as a result of having the energy program in place and doing all the things that the energy program yields. To be perfectly honest, when I took the job, I was a little bit skeptical of that number. And so in the first year, when we did the calculation for cost avoidance, it was right on the money. When you say, okay, I have my utility budget, what's my actual cost for the annual year, and what does that line up to the cost avoidance, the number was right on. So that kind of debunked anything that I had after that, and we've maintained that model ever since. We operate off of an energy policy and guidelines that was passed at the same time that it was entered into the contract. It basically gives us guidance for how to operate the HVAC systems and the water and lighting usage, and we use those district set points throughout the district. This is a slide that was generated by Energy Education at the time. It basically shows what New Caney's level of investment was based on and return on investment. The quick math on it is for the first 4 years is about $1.3 million, but as you can see, even in the first year that we confirmed savings beyond what our level of investment was. Each year was projected to be as such, and then after the contract year, you can see that basically your investment's just the salary of the energy manager, and then the rest is the savings. So where does that leave us for up to date? If you look at each subsequent year, remember the goal was to reach 20% by the end of the 4-year contract. We did it in the first year, and we've maintained it every year since, which is not something to take lightly because there's districts that don't achieve that in 4 years, but we did it in the first year. When you look at the savings specifically, year 2 is the only one that's short of the projected amount. In fact, years 3, 4, and 5 are over a significant amount compared to what even the company projected that we would do. Part of that is because if you look at the jump between 2012 and 2013 to 2013, 2014, you might say, why is that so much drastic? Our rates went up as far as utilities go. And so when you have increases in your cost per unit, you're essentially saying, okay, it costs more to use that amount of energy, but it also saves you that much more when you don't use it. So that's why you see that drastic jump there. So what does it total to be? Just short of $5 million in the 6 years of complete data, which is a 22.6% reduction in usage. So we've reduced our energy usage over the course of 6 years, on average, 22% annually. Okay. And if I include the preliminary data for year 7, which is basically September up through December of this year, we've officially rolled over the $5 million mark. So because this year's not complete, I haven't released that yet, but as it stands right now, we've saved over $5 million up to this point with this program. As far as environmental equivalency, this is one that I kind of use with my opportunities to guest speak in science classes and things like that. But when you reduce energy usage, you're reducing emissions into the atmosphere, specifically CO2. The equivalency of that would be if you took a little over 5,000 cars off the road for a year. That's how much of an impact we're having as an energy program. You achieve the same impact if you plant well over 634,000 trees and then let them grow for 10 years as a process of their photosynthesis. They would reduce the same amount of emissions that we're doing just by changing behavior and optimizing our systems. So it's a significant impact to the environment when you take a look at it from that standpoint as well. We've won a few awards, one of which you saw last month as a part of being kind of a pioneer program in certain cases. Energy Education and Synergistic has given us a couple of awards, and then this most recent one was actually from our electricity provider, just because of the amount of reduction we've done. And this RMS program is one of only, it's a pilot program that they asked 3 districts in the state of Texas to be a part of, and they asked us because of what we've been able to achieve. They basically picked a district that kind of had an energy program, one that didn't, and one that had a well-flourishing one to see if they could add value to the program. Some of our gain has come as a result of that. We were the one that was the good program that they chose. We've contributed to several financial successes over the years. A lot of interesting things have been able to happen as a result of having the energy program. When we had deficit budgets a few years back and we were trying to get things in line, this was a big contributor to that. As far as cost avoidance, we reached our $1 million mark in 18 months, which was extremely fast for program standards of a district our size. One of the ones that I really want to point out to you is Port High School in Oakley. When you look at their electricity budget, when they came on, they were kind of birthed into the program. The program was going on when they came in. We actually didn't have to increase the electricity budget, what their total cost is. We increased it just a touch here and there, but as far as the electricity that both of those schools use, which is over 400,000 square feet, we've used the same utility budget before we had them. That's how much of an impact that we had from a savings standpoint. We've been honored to have several published recognitions from different things and being a part of several things that the district's put on through the years, and just something else to highlight. I think probably the best part about the energy program is getting to work with everybody in the schools and having those open lines of communications. I couldn't enjoy it more to work with the folks that are behind me. They make the job easy, honestly, because they all work very hard and they're not afraid to engage me and say, this isn't going to work, or this is something we can try, or things like that. And so it's a checks and balances. I'm looking to ways to save energy, but not at the expense of what they're doing, and I have to understand what they're doing. And they're very good about educating me and making sure that we're not going too far in those kinds of things. So beyond the compliments that we're paid, whatever they are, it's really a shared compliment. And I try to make sure and make a point of that every time I stand up in front of you guys and for them, because it's not anything that I'm doing or they're doing, it's what we do together that makes the difference. With that, I'm open for questions. I've got a few more things on my plate these days, so I have all kinds of things to think about, but certainly willing to answer any questions.
Does your department do anything from a proactive measure standpoint? So in other words, not necessarily reactive, looking at an existing facility to save, but I mean, do you work with our building folks as we're looking at buildings into the future to see, are there ways we can cut down energy costs just in how we build and what we use and those kind of things?
Absolutely. In fact, with every new school that's come down and things like that, we're continually having conversations, and we sit around the table and bounce ideas off each other, because from an operational cost standpoint, that's what I fight for. It's one thing to pay for a school up front, but I want that school to run as efficiently as it can for the lifestyle that it's going to be. And that's what I try to bring to the table. And that's what's great about our construction team, is they're already thinking that when they're putting in design and those kinds of things. That's refreshing from an energy manager's perspective, because I can tell you in a room full of energy managers, that's not necessarily the case. They're just trying to get a building built. Maybe they'll concern themselves with some of the efficiency. That's not the case here. We talked about several things, and we bounced things off, and we try to look for ways to be innovative in those things, or to make sure. Part of the thing with energy management, especially on the proactive, is you may not want to be the first guinea pig. You might want to let somebody else step out there and see how they do. And then if you see some good results and payback and things like that, we can take advantage of rebates, just like with the program before, and then we can kind of slide in there. And I think we've got some exciting thing plans for the future facilities coming up that will maybe highlight a little bit more of the proactive sense of what we're looking for. But absolutely. Any other questions for me? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Item 6 on the agenda is the consent calendar, consisting of consideration of minutes, consideration of finance reports, consideration of purchasing reports, consideration of personnel reports, consideration of local policy updates, and consideration of donations. Are there any questions or further discussion? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the items on the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second? The motion has been moved and seconded. There being no further discussion, a vote will be taken. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion is approved. Item 7 on the agenda is consideration to authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute final agreement with Roman Forest Consolidated for provisions of water and sewer services to Dogwood Elementary School, presented by Mr. Gates.
I'll tell you, when I first presented this issue to our attorney, I was quite surprised that it hadn't come across one quite like this. Dogwood is within the boundaries of PUD 4. Roman Forest Consolidated has 4 PUDs tied to them. They are the folks up in Roman Forest that have a water and sewer plant, and they sell these services to these 4 different utility districts. A few years back, there was a lawsuit between PUD 4 and Roman Forest Consolidated. I won't go into the particulars about it, I don't really know a whole lot, but in the end, the judge said, okay, Roman Forest do not have to give any more taps to PUD 4, but you have to serve whoever's there already, which was the school and 11 other residents. That's it. Out of probably 300 and some sites that are out there that are not developed yet. Well, as time goes along, the actual lines and sewer stuff that feeds PUD 4 is deteriorated very badly. The water's a lot of leaking, the lift stations need to be repaired, and all such kinds of stuff. So last March, I went and managed to get these two entities together at a board meeting at Roman Forest, and kind of came, we made an offer to PUD 4, said, look, we'll fix all your stuff as a capital recovery, but y'all need to come to terms and agreement with Roman Forest. Still, as of today, there's no agreement between those two entities. Our problem gets a little bit deeper than that. I'll tell you, we have no permit from Harris County Fire Marshal to build the building. And he won't give us a permit until we have an agreement or I find a letter of capacity for the water and sewer. So time's gone on, blah, 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 blah. As of last week, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, we come to the table with Roman Forest, and they agree that if we will run our lines just outside our boundary, outside the PUD Forest boundary, they will sell us water and sewer services. So the agreement is almost done. We're just still, the attorneys are still kind of hacking and doing things that attorneys do. So we need this agreement, and we were asking for Mr. Franklin to be able to do the final sign. We have done, usually when you get served out of district from a MUD, your water rates are twice as much. Roman Forest has agreed to sell us water at the regular rate that they sell the other PUDs with. So I think that's a good deal. We just need to get going with this because the school obviously needs water for other, just to finish construction. We're to the point now where the HVAC lines need to be flushed, and that's a couple of weeks worth of water, a lot of water. And we can't get that out of the service we have right now. So, I mean, we're going to. A long connection, we're going to hook up to it and get the water going. But in the end, once we get this agreement done, then Roman Forest will provide us a letter of capacity. We can send the fire marshal, get our permit, and we can move forward. So that's what this is all about.
Just so I understand, the issue about putting the lines outside of the PUD's domain, if you will. So essentially, long-term, what we have is just the maintenance of our own water and sewer feeds off of their system? Is that? We
will be required to maintain those lines that are off-site. Fortunately, it's only about 500 feet.
Okay.
It's an 8-inch water line, and because of elevation, we have to use a forced main. So we've got an estimate from the contractor about $420,000 to get all this done. On our site, we have to extend the line a little bit long further and within the site, put a lift station and a pump to force main, which you pump the sewer. So that's what's involved there. We will be in our right of way, so we don't have to go about going into anybody else's property. It goes down to Acton Way, turns and goes and turns again, and goes pretty much where their water plant is actually. So their sewer is way off, so we don't have to really go that far. But what it will do for us, being that close to the water plant, we'll make sure we have plenty of water pressure to run our fire system whenever we need to, so it makes the fire marshal all very happy. They told us they'll give us at least 65 pounds, which is really good. So that's kind of what.
You said that Roman Forest had agreed to charge us the regular rate rather than the
normal out of district.
Is there a risk that we could invest in the infrastructure though, and then in year 2, Roman Forest then decides to charge us the higher rate? Or is there some kind of protection in there?
It is in the agreement.
Okay.
There's protection. Now, anytime they raise their regular rates to everybody,
right,
we would have to go along with that. But yeah, we're protected. They can't just come back and jab us. Now, if we do go over our capacity, it does go double. So we made sure by taking Tavola, which is the exact same school, taking that water plus maybe another 10% to make sure we stay within it. Now, theoretically, we'll actually use less water than the old school did, the old Aiken school, because now all of our fixtures are way more efficient and all that kind of stuff, and it doesn't leak. So it's a win-win for everybody involved, except for those people who didn't put forward. But that's their choice, so nothing we can do about that.
Any questions, further discussion? All right. Is there a motion to approve and authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute final agreement with Roman Forest Consolidated for the provisions of water and sewer services to Dogwood Elementary School?
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. There being no further discussion, a vote will be taken. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. There are none. Motion is approved. Item 8 on the agenda is consideration to approve agreement between Stantec Architects and Caney ISD, and Bond 2012 FFA Ag Science Center, also by Mr. Gaines.
So there's some additional funds left over from 2012. CAPE program administrators that want to do some additional work out there at the ag facility. New door, a big door, extending the cattle area out a little bit to give them some cover and protection. Take care of getting some exhaust in the feed rooms, adding a fence kind of around the hill to create a pasture, and then also fixing up somewhat the old ag barn, cleaning it out, although Warren tells me they got most of that cleaned out. So we'll go in there, take out the dirt, put in some gravel, and probably paint the existing metal building or metal shell that's there. So Stantec was the original architect. We're not looking at putting it out to bid. We need them to do the construction drawings so we can go out and save ourselves some money by getting direct bids from people who can do the work.
Any questions, further discussion? Is there a motion to approve the agreement between Stantec Architects and Caney ISD, Bond 2012 FFA Ag Science Center?
So moved.
Motion has been moved and seconded. There being no further discussion, a vote will be taken. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are none. The motion is approved. There being no further business, the meeting is adjourned. The time is 8:34.